not going to see even one of them alive. And I disagreed. I said we'll get most and possibly all of them if we apply judiciously both military pressure and political, diplomatic pressure. So far, out of 255 hostages, we got 205 out, of which 148 are alive. 148 are alive. We have 20 living ones left in Hamas captivity, and 30 who are not alive, as I said before. If we don't do anything, we're not going to get them out. The option of just doing a war of attrition from defensive positions has not proved itself, and I think it will just, it won't get them out, but I think it will draw us into a protracted conflict that doesn't bring the war to an end. The move that I'm talking about, I think, has the possibility of getting them out. We're talking about how to, I don't want to go into details, but how to get the remaining hostages alive as we close in on Hamas. And there are various ways that I think, creative ways that this can be done, but again, I won't go into that now.
Thank you, Prime Minister. 2 questions, please. You've just shown the horrific photo of Eviatar David, who's kept hostage in Gaza. We know that the hostages' days are numbered. So how will prolonging the war bring them home? And second question, you stated that Gaza would be passed to civilian governance that is not Hamas and not the Palestinian Authority. Can you specifically identify who this civilian governance would be? Do you have any concrete entities or individuals in mind? And is there a timeline for establishing this administration?
Yeah, well, I don't want to prolong the war. I want to end the war. And I think the other suggestions would have prolonged it. We may have gotten maybe a dripping of hostages, even though Hamas showed no willingness to do that. And then they just go on and on and on, and we'd have this endless. Unless you are willing to just say, Israel, capitulate, go out. And even then, I don't think we'll get all the hostages. And if we capitulate, it means that Hamas will rearm, regroup, and carry out all the threats that it openly professes every day, by the way. Every day they say, we're going to do the October 7th massacre again and again, and we're going to destroy the state of Israel. You can't leave them there, So we're not going to do that. So my goal is not to prolong the war. My goal is to end the war. And I think that prolonging the war means that many of them could be starved to death. That's exactly the point. I don't want that. As far as the specific partners for the civil governance of Hamas, we're actually, I think the 5 principles are generally widely accepted. And it's instructive that some of the Arab countries, quite a few of them actually, said that Hamas has to be disarmed. I think this is the starting point. And look at what is happening in Lebanon as a result of our action. The Lebanese government, the new Lebanese government, is talking about disarming Hezbollah. Who would have believed it? Well, some of us did. I did. And that's changing the Middle East, as I promised to do on the second day of the war. I think in this case, if we succeed in this effort to basically end the war by defeating Hamas, its remaining strongholds, there are several candidates. There are several candidates that we're talking about, several constructs. And it's a transitional period. It's a transitional authority. It's going to be there because we don't want to, contrary to what I said, we want a security belt, but right next to our border. But we don't want to stay in Gaza. That's not our purpose. At least not my purpose, and I openly state, including to those who disagree with me, and there are some who do. But I think that our goal is to make sure that Hamas isn't there, and that what replaces Hamas does not educate for terrorism, pay for terrorism, launch terrorism, but is willing to live in peace. There are candidates. I don't want to spoil the chances of succeeding here because I think they're real, but they're real providing we finish the job. See, no one's going to go in there if we don't finish the job. We can talk about the day after until eternity. No one's going to go in there unless we finish Hamas, and we're able to finish Hamas, and we will finish Hamas.
Yes, Welt TV Germany. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. So the German Chancellor has once again defended his decision not to send weapons to Israel, which can be used in Gaza. He said a friendship can and must withstand that. From your perspective, what has changed in this relationship?
Look, I respect Friedrich Merz. I think he's been a good friend of Israel, but I think he's buckled under. He's buckled under the pressure of false TV reports, the pressure, internal pressure from various groups. And I can say this, and I don't want to talk about him specifically, but I want to say this. Look, maybe some choose to forget October 7th. We will not forget what happened. And we will do whatever it takes to defend our country and defend our people, defend our future. We will win the war, with or without the support of others. But I think that there's an issue here. And the issue is many leaders tell me, look, we know you're right, but we can't stand in the face of the public opinion in our country, especially European leaders. They tell me that over and over again. And I say, that is your problem. It is not our problem. It is not our problem. You know? In Munich, everybody celebrated Munich. Everybody celebrated the capitulation in Munich, the Munich Peace Conference, peace in our time. Okay? And everybody lambasted Churchill who opposed it. So what? The difference now is maybe they thought then that there was a real chance for peace by succumbing to the Nazis. But I don't believe anybody seriously thinks that now. And we're facing neo-Nazis. You know, Chancellor Merz's predecessor was here, okay? And he, on the first or second day of the war, he was there, on the first days of the war. And he told me, he said to me, they're exactly like the Nazis. And they are. And we're not going to leave. We're not going to leave the remainder of the Nazi army, in the equivalent of Berlin. You know, don't go into Berlin and don't finish off the Nazi army, the German army. Of course not. I mean, that's what people are telling us to do. And I'm not going to do it. And the Israeli people are not going to do it. We're going to do it. And we have enough criticism within, but the majority of the people, if you really check it, the majority of the people say, that's a result we can't afford if we want to live here. So we're going to do what we need to do. And I hope that Chancellor Merz changes his policy. And you know when he'll change his policy, for sure? When we win.
Thank you, Prime Minister. You talked about the 7-front battle. There's an 8th front, the propaganda war, the information war. Is Israel winning or losing this war? And also, have you spoken with President Trump since the Security Cabinet approved this plan? If so, can you share some of the details of that conversation? If not, do you plan on speaking with him at some point soon? And is he planning to also come to Israel at some point?
Well, I suggest you ask him that. But I haven't spoken to him since next Thursday. Yes, I intend to speak to him very